Before we go into today's topic, I want you to watch this short clip.
Yes.
Yes. This is an Oba of Yoruba people speaking right here in Enugu, in Igbo land. Now pause for a second and think about that. A Yoruba Oba in Enugu, not in Lagos, not in Ibadan, not in Oshobo, but in the southeast of Nigeria. So here is the big question. If Yoruba people can have an Oba in Igbo land, and Hausa people can have a Seriki in Igbo land, why is it suddenly a problem when Igbos organize themselves abroad and have something called Eze Ndi Igbo? That is what we are going to break down in today's video, because a lot of people are getting it wrong. Just recently, the leadership of Eze Ndi Igbo announced a ban on the use of the title Eze Ndi Igbo outside of Igbo land. Now, on the surface, it may sound like a good move, yes, but when you look deeper, you will start to notice and ask questions. How exactly will this work? Because across Nigeria today, there are several groups. Hausa communities have their own Seriki. All over Igbo land, Yoruba communities have their Oba, and these titles exist peacefully in places that are not their ancestral land. If you go to Obinze, Amawasa, Amajeke, anywhere you want to call in Imo State, you will think you are in northern Nigeria. So why is it suddenly becoming controversial because Ndi Igbo are also taking the same title? Why is the Igbo case becoming controversial? We have seen controversial cases in Ghana and now recently in South Africa. Is it really the same thing, or is it a misunderstanding of the title Eze Ndi Igbo? Let's clear that up. First of all, let's remove the biggest confusion. When you hear Eze Ndi Igbo, many people immediately think, oh, this person is trying to be a king over everyone. That is not true. Not even close to it. Oh my God. In reality, the so-called Eze Ndi Igbo abroad is not a king in the traditional sense. He is not a traditional ruler. He is not ruling land. He is not controlling any government. He is not above the law and the host of the community. He is not usurping the king of his host community. So what is he? Simple. But these things need to be cleared. He is just a leader of an Igbo union or community organization. That is what the Eze Ndi Igbo is. That is just it, nothing more. But a lot of people tend to misunderstand it. Another thing is this. People tend to think they know this more than the real owners. The position of Eze Ndi Igbo is not permanent. It is temporal. It is rotational, based on the constitution of the very organization that has that particular Eze. In many cases, the person may serve 3 years, 5 years or thereabouts. But let me ask you, does that sound like a king? In places where you have kings in Igbo land, do they serve 3 years or 4 years? Does it in any way sound like a king? Kings don't rotate every few years in Igbo land. That is not how Igbo kingship is. Kings don't contest positions. So clearly, that is not monarchy. It is simply an organizational title. That is simply what it is, and it should be taken for what it is. Now let's get to the heart of the matter. Why do Igbos even organize themselves abroad? Why? The answer is very, very simple. Survival, support, and community. And this is the heart and core of the Igbo lifestyle. Life outside your homeland is usually not simple. Life outside your home country is not easy. If you have ever lived abroad, You will understand this very immediately. If you have ever been an Igbo man too in Nigeria, outside of the southeast, outside the Igbo homeland, you will understand what it is to organize yourself. You need people. You need a support system. It is because of this organization of Ndi Igbo that has helped them to thrive. We are not a people driven by monarchy. We are a people driven by a republican system and a community support base. There are so many Igbo sayings and proverbs that back this claim. Igbo will say, Oyaya na wanneya. Do not leave your brother or your kinsman behind. Onunube wanna banoso. If you hear the cry of a loved one, do not run. These are so many sayings that cement the Igbo community lifestyle. We are not individualistic. We are communal by nature. Now let me break it down in real life terms. These unions exist for practical reasons. Number one, during celebrations. When someone is celebrating or getting married, doing a traditional marriage or celebrating something very important, the community shows up. They contribute money. They help organize. Because abroad, you don't have extended family anywhere. These people become your family. These people that you're hearing usually say, I am not Igbo, I am not Igbo. They are from Delta, they are from Edo, they are from Rivers. Once they cross the boundaries of Nigeria and find themselves abroad, they begin to associate. We have so many Igbo organizations led by people who are from Abo, some from Benin, and some from Rivers State. Number two, support during tragedy. Let's talk about something serious. If an Igbo person dies abroad, who will help? Will Eze Ndi Igbo gather together and try to relocate that person's corpse back to Igbo land? Will the government carry the body back to Nigeria? Most times, no. It doesn't happen. It is this union that will. They will raise money. They will organize documents. They will arrange transportation. Without these unions, many families would have been stranded, and many families will remain stranded without this union. Now, number three, one of the reasons why Ndi Igbo organize themselves, repatriation of bodies, like I just described. This is one of the biggest responsibilities. Flying a body from abroad to Nigeria is very expensive. Sometimes it costs millions of naira and sometimes in dollars. The union comes together to make sure that a person is buried at home, because you know, according to our culture, you must be buried back home, or a mock funeral will be done for the person, because in Igbo culture, where you are buried matters a lot. Now you see why we organize ourselves. Number four, cultural preservation. Let's be very honest about this. When people travel abroad, culture can fade, but Ndi Igbo don't want their culture to fade. They usually don't want to lose their identity. So what do? They organize themselves. You see them doing New Yam festivals abroad in Germany, in America, in Australia. You see them doing all kinds of cultural events. The other time I brought us a video of Ndi Igbo in North Carolina organizing themselves. They call themselves Council of Igbo Speaking States, CISA, in America. You see them organizing themselves, doing cultural festivals, cultural dances, food events, and guess what? They invite others to join. They share their culture openly and they are very proud of it. Now the fifth reason why Ndi Igbo organize themselves is for community contribution. Community contribution. These unions don't just help themselves, they also contribute to the host country. Yes, you heard me right. In places like North Carolina, they have declared World Igbo Day. Yes. And back home, we are trying to stifle organizations of Ndi Igbo. What kind of people are we? These unions don't just help themselves. They contribute massively to their host community. In many places where you will find Ndi Igbo, they participate in community events. They promote diversity. They even partner with local organizations to promote whatever is being done in their host community. In fact, in many European countries, governments support these groups. Just like I said, it's done in America. Financially, government supports them because they value culture. in those places, and then they do not promote identity crisis. Now, here is where the problem comes in. In some African countries like Ghana, South Africa, and other places where such things are promoted, these organizations are sometimes seen as a threat. Usually in Africa, people start thinking they can take over. Oh, Ndi Igbo are trying to take over our place. They want to take over. They are forming a kingdom in our land. They are trying to dominate us. But that is not true. Not even close to it. No one is trying to dominate anyone. Igbo philosophy is very simple. Ebe belu gu ebelu. Live and let live. Igbos are not known for empire building. In the history of Ndi Igbo, they have not conquered anywhere and imposed Igbo language or culture on anyone. Not at all. It is not in Igbo culture or history. They are known for trade, hard work, adaptation, coexistence. Anywhere you see Igbos, you will also see businesses thriving. You will usually see community thriving. You will not see domination. You will see cooperation. That is the lifestyle of Ndi Igbo and what they are known for. Let's be honest for a moment. Other nationalities do the same thing too. They do so globally. Indians have their associations. Chinese people have their community groups. Europeans have their cultural unions. Even the Yorubas have their associations in Owerri, Enugu, Aba, and every other place you can think of that is in Igbo land. In Delta State, you will be surprised how many Hausa people are government appointees because they have a thriving Arewa community in Delta. So why is it a problem when Ndi Igbo organize themselves? Why is it a problem when Africans, especially Igbo, do it? What exactly is the fear? What exactly is the fear? What harm are these unions causing? What harms are they causing that people cannot sit down and address? Let's come back to the big issue again, because this is a very long discussion. The ban on Eze Ndi Igbo outside Igbo land, will it solve anything? What kind of problem will it solve? Or will it create more confusion? Because the real issue here has not been addressed. The real issue is not the title. The real issue is misunderstanding. If they don't have Eze, will they stop organizing themselves together again? If people can actually sit down and understand what the title actually means, will there still be a problem? I don't think so. So I think the right thing to do is to explain what this title actually means instead of reacting with fear. Why not ask questions? Why not learn? It is important that we learn. No man is an island of knowledge. Why not understand how these systems actually work? Because at the end of the day, we are still going to have these organizations. We are still going to have them. They are not going to disappear. And this is not about power. This is not about politics as well. This is not about control. It is not. It is about a people trying to organize themselves. It is about identity of a people. And that is not something they can easily let go. Identity is not something you can throw away. It is about identity. It is about culture. It is about survival. It is about community. It is about people trying to support each other in a foreign land and nothing more. It should be understood for what it is. It should be understood that it is about people trying to organize and support themselves in a foreign land, nothing more, nothing less. Now, Africa is already dealing with enough division. We can do better. We don't need more misunderstanding flying around. We don't need more suspicion. What we need is, one, unity. We need unity in all of the African tribes. We need cooperation. We need tolerance. We need respect. We need mutual understanding. Let us stop fighting what we do not understand. Let us start learning from each other. Let us start sharing culture. Because the truth is simple. When you understand Eze Ndi Igbo, you realize there was never a problem at all with it. The only problem there was or there is misunderstanding. If this video enlightened you or opened your eyes, kindly share it to your audience. Let's spread the understanding and tone down the confusion? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I want to use this opportunity to send a shout out to one of my friends, Morgan, who lives in diaspora. He's the one who actually encouraged me to treat this topic, even sending me some materials to work with. Thank you so much. My name once again is Onwode Ngozi Chukwuka Fortune, and I will look forward to seeing you in my subsequent videos. Thank you. Bye.